Well, welcome back to Hearing the Voice of God, and we're now on day 4 of this 7-day journey. And today we're going to be exploring one of the most beautiful and personal ways that God speaks, the still, small voice. So far we've seen that God is a speaking God. We've learnt to recognize his voice among other voices, and we discovered that his word is the primary channel. But today is about his whisper, that gentle inner voice that often comes when the noise around us is quieted. Well, talk about Elijah's encounter on the mountain, why God chooses a whisper, how to cultivate the stillness in a noisy world, and some practical ways that you can begin to recognize that his gentle voice in your own life. And one of the clearest pictures of a still small voice is found in 1 Kings 19. Elijah had just experienced a great victory over the prophets of Baal, but he was weary, afraid, and hiding in a cave. And God told him to stand on the mountain. Then came a mighty wind, tearing the mountain apart, but God wasn't in the wind. Then the earthquake shook the ground, but God wasn't in the earthquake. And then a fire blazed, but God wasn't in the fire. After the fire came a gentle whisper, and Elijah knew it was God. Why a whisper? Because whispers require closeness. God isn't always shouting to get our attention. He's inviting us into intimacy, to lean in and to listen. Often when we're looking for a dramatic sign, God is speaking quietly within our hearts. There are at least 3 reasons why God often speaks in a small, still voice. The first reason is intimacy. He wants relationship, not just to deliver information. And secondly, it's about dependence. Whispers teach us to slow down, to rely on his spirit rather than the external signs. And thirdly, it's about the clarity in chaos. In a noisy, distracted world, his whisper cuts through, but only if we stop to notice. So let's just think about this for a moment. When someone whispers, you have to draw near to hear. And that's what God desires. So how do we recognize that gentle inner prompting of God's Spirit? Well, here are a few indicators. It often comes as a quiet thought, idea, or a nudge, and it carries peace, even if it challenges you. It doesn't contradict Scripture, it agrees with it, and it's persistent. God's whispers often repeats until we notice. It points you closer to Christ, not away. So an example of this is you are suddenly reminded to check on a friend. You call and they say, I really needed that today. That's the Spirit's whisper. Romans 8:16 says that the Spirit himself testifies with our spirit that we are God's children. That inner witness is often how he speaks. So here's a challenge. Our world is loud. Notification, deadlines, constant noise. If you're not intentional, you can miss his whisper. And some practical habits that help: silence. Take 5 to 10 minutes daily to sit without an agenda, just waiting on God. Sabbath moments. Build small pauses in your day. Turn off the phone, step outside, breathe. Prayer walks. I love this. Walking quietly and listening rather than filling all space with words. And fourthly, limiting noise. Sometimes God doesn't seem silent. We're just too distracted to notice. Psalm 46:10 reminds us that be still and know that I am God. See, stillness positions us to hear. So let's practice right now. Take a deep breath, close your eyes if you can, and whisper a simple prayer. Speak, Lord, your servant is listening. Now sit in silence for 30 seconds. Notice any impressions, pictures or scriptures that come to mind. And don't over-analyze. Just write it down later. And remember, learning to hear his whisper is like tuning a radio. It gets clearer with practice. So today we've learnt that God often speaks not in the dramatic but in the gentle whisper. He invites us closer through stillness, intimacy and dependency. So tomorrow in day 5 we're going to talk about how God speaks through other people, through our community, mentors and even the unexpected voices. So until then, take 5 minutes today to simply sit in silence and listen. God may be whispering more than you realize. So thanks for joining me on Hearing the Voice of God, and we'll see you tomorrow.